Hello and welcome to another video of mine. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Mass Effect Remastered. And we're going to be talking about only the first part of this because I haven't still played the second or the third part of this particular game. Now, quick details before we get started. Now, the game, if you have only installed the first part, then it's only going to take up about 21.6 GB of your internal storage, and you have to store it on your internal storage, by the way. Now, before we get into more details, the two modes that you get, one is a quality mode and one is a frame rate mode. I'm going to start off with the quality mode because if you've seen my videos before, you know that I favor quality over the frame rate, but that's just me. Hey, and some of the other sound options, etc. You have a few of the gameplay options. We're going to put it on casual difficulty level because, hey, we're recording this video and we just want to make sure that we can enjoy the story. And a few other options when it comes to, the gameplay as to, whether you want your subtitles on, off, etc. And then you can start a new game. Now, getting back to the game itself,
Welcome to Alliance Military Database.
It's going to start off with this sort of not exactly an AI because AI is prohibited in the game as per the storyline. So this is more like a computer generated voice, which is actually narrating, certain things. And now you have to kind of make up your character. So you have an option, there are options of starting with a custom male, which is your shepherd. This is the default character. Or you can actually, create a custom character. The first thing that we're going to do is change the character's name. So I'm just going to name it something else, not John Shepard. All right, so let's just start by naming our character. So let's call it Theodore. So I'm going to call this character Theodore. That's my Christian name if you don't already know it. And now what it is going to allow us to do is customize this character, Theodore Shepard.
Please reconstruct.
So now it's just kind of loading up the character. And now, there are a few options that you can choose from as to, what do you want the character or the nature rather of your character to be. You want him to be a spacer, a colonist, or an earthborn. Now there are different backstories to each of them. And depending on, what you select, you're going to have like this backstory tagged to you. So every time, somebody in the game speaks to you, they're going to refer to this backstory of yours, that you were a war hero, etc., or a soul survivor, or you are just this ruthless guy. So they're just a few of the options that you can actually choose from. Now, I'm going to go with war hero, and I'm going to go along with soldier. And now, you have many options of changing the person's face structure. And when you do change the face structure, there are some micro options as well that you get. You have some presets that you can choose from. And apart from these presets, once you have selected a certain shape or a certain default face, you can further customize it by, going into the facial structure, etc., etc. So we're going to take a quick look at it. For instance, here, in the facial structure, you can change the jawline, you can change the skin tone, you can change the complexion. So there are quite a lot of options. I'm not going to get into this. I'm going to, in fact, skip this. And I'm going to show you my final character. So this was my final character, that I actually chose. I kind of liked, gray hair, the salt and pepper kind of look. So now it's just going to get into the game now that I have chosen my character. Now, for, a few of us who like customizing it, again, there's so many options you can choose from, but I simply didn't want to take a lot of your time. So I skipped that part and just showed you my final character. Now the load times, if you can just count it off your fingers, it's extremely low. It's negligible, in fact.
Well, what about
and
Earthborn?
it starts off with a quick cutscene.
Doesn't have one.
And
he was raised on the streets. Learned to look out.
See, this was the backstory that I was talking about.
During the Blitz.
Provided you chose a war hero and a soldier.
He's the only reason Elysium is still standing.
We can't question
Based on your choice, this voiceover changes because there's a different backstory attached to each of the characters, you could say a persona or backstory. Here it just, gives a little bit of information of what we are heading into in terms of storyline, that, in the year 2148, explorers on Mars discover the remains of an ancient spacefaring civilization. And that's what it's about. I mean, this game is about, ancient technology that humans get a hand on, and that kind of makes them jump forward in time in terms of the advancements that come along with that ancient technology. And the cutscenes are beautiful, and everything is sharp, whether it's the cutscenes, whether it's the gameplay, the characters, the textures on the characters, they have been worked on, whether it's your skin texture, whether it's your hair texture, whether it's the costume of your character, everything looks fabulously sharp. And it's really appreciated, down to the lighting as well on those consoles, those pods that these co-pilots are sitting on. The light effects, look at that beam of light, it's beautiful. I mean, this game is gorgeous to look at. And even within the confines of your spacecraft, I guess you can take time to appreciate the details that have gone into making this game look prettier. Now, please note that this game originally, I believe, came out in 2007. Man, that's like 14 years old. And for a game that old, it was, I remember, it was revolutionary back then when it came out. And it set certain standards when it comes to RPG games. So this was like a benchmark. So if it was RPG games, Mass Effect was clearly a benchmark. And even after 14 years, you could say, game looks pretty. I mean, of course, the original version is not as sharp. So there are jagged edges around the character, there's aliasing, and of course, the textures were all made based on 2007. And back then, even 720p, 900p was fine. But now we live in the day and age of 4K. Everything has been created keeping 4K in mind. So if you take a look at these characters, by the way, on the Series S, you do get an option of having this game run at 4K. So it's incredible. I mean, that's why I love the Series S. I mean, a tiny little beast of a device, but it has massive firepower, you could say. So you have two options. We had seen it originally in the game option screen as well, 4K and a frame rate mode, where you will get 60 FPS, but it will bring the resolution down. So there are a lot of cutscenes in this game because this game has this this deep storyline that it is wanting to convey through these cutscenes. So if you are a person who likes hard-hitting action all the time, if you are one of those people who always wants to shoot or do something on screen, this is not your type of game, because it's quite laid back in terms of, I mean, not exactly laid back, that's the wrong thing that I'm saying. It has a balance of both being laid back and at the forefront of things when it comes to heated action. So there's a lot of dialogues that you have, like dialogue options, in fact, which affect your storyline. So the way you choose your dialogues will impact your relationship with the people around you in the game. Apart from that, it will also impact the storyline, because the choices that you make in the game is what defines your character. And we're going to get into that as well. But I was just panning the camera around just to show you, how good this looks. I mean, everything is sharp, from the textures on top to the floor to all the backgrounds in the characters in the background, in the distance, or whether, the ones who are nearby. Everything is so sharp and so clean. It's incredible. And, this video is in 1080p, but I've actually played this game on a 4K television at 4K. That's the quality mode. And here you can see, here you can probably tell the age of the game, because the lip movement of the character, I mean, the voice acting is fabulous, by the way. It's fantastic, the voice acting, but the lip movement, well, it's not that great. And you have to take into consideration that this game is 14 years old. And as you can see, there's such a lot of dialogue between characters. So if you are a person who likes only action, then you may not enjoy this game. This game tells a deep storyline, and to uncover that storyline, you will have to have these dialogues with characters, with multiple characters in different levels, different backgrounds, different places, different times. And these dialogues, these conversations will lead you to know more about what you need to do as well. It will impact the character, it will impact the storyline overall. So these conversations are extremely important, and it forms a lot of what you are going to be doing in Mass Effect. Again, if you are heavily into action, if you're not bothered about all the storyline, you can just quickly skip and just say goodbye. But if you are a person like me who wants to know more, who wants to know, for instance, the origin of certain things, who wants to know, why the bad guy is the bad guy. All right. Because remember, a lot of times we are told that the villain is often the hero of his own story. So you would want to know, why the bad guy became that guy, that bad guy. So if you are like me, you would want to know that storyline. But if you're somebody who just wants to dig into the action, then you can just say goodbye, skip all the options, and not have these conversations. But there are a lot of cutscenes in this game, and the reason why I've chosen the quality mode, to play it on the quality mode, that is because for a game of this type, I don't think frame rate really matters, because there's such a lot of storytelling that is happening, there's so many cutscenes and so many conversation screens, etc., that I think you would appreciate the sharpness in graphics over the frame rate. But hey, that's just me talking. It's my personal opinion. In case you feel otherwise, let me know in the comment section. I always look forward to your comments. Now, so many things have been changed, in this first game, by the way. And wow, just look at that. It looks incredible. Everything looks sharp, neat. And, you can tell by those particles, the leaves falling. There's some dust particles in the air, and there's so much happening. So here, I'm just going to show you that in the options, when you go over to the graphics option, right now we're in the quality mode, but let's say we want to skip over to the frame rate mode now. Now, as soon as you select the frame rate, by the way, you can toggle between the two modes without changing or without restarting the level. And look at that. As soon as you change the frame rate, you can definitely notice the quickness, or the smoothness, rather. Quickness is the wrong word. The smoothness as you pan the camera around. And man, 60 FPS on your Xbox Series as always does a fabulous job. Well, I did notice, when I skipped over to the frame rate mode, I did notice, screen tearing, but just in one small little area. That was as soon as I skipped over to the frame rate mode. But apart from that, I didn't notice any other screen tearing. I guess, it was because of the switch that was happening. But here again, look at it. It is smooth. The 60 FPS is fantastic, but hey, like I always say, I personally favor quality over frame rate. So for me, I would rather play it in the better graphics mode. So I'm just going to switch over to the quality mode. And again, you can see, I think you can notice the grass, the leaves, the tree in the background, everything just becomes sharper. Of course, you're not going to have those smooth frame rates, but hey, you give some, you get some. So I think, depending on your choice, of course, the thing to appreciate is that you do have that choice. So it's not just, something that is built in, excuse me, but yeah, you do have that choice when it comes to choosing the frame rate or the quality. And again, there's so many cutscenes, and the transition from the gameplay over to the cutscenes is smooth. You would hardly notice a difference. You feel like, you are now deeply involved with what is happening in this world. This game, has been very successful in giving you that feeling of being that character, Shepard. So now the gameplay mechanics, the shooting, well, again, for a person who has played Gears before, I think Gears, took some things, from Mass Effect, like, sprinting, etc. And, the camera, you could say angles, and it just improved upon, all of this. So Gears I believe is far better when it comes to gameplay. But hey, they're two different kind of games. Here, I am not so sure if I really enjoyed the shooting mechanism of this particular game.
Sometimes Marines die. The rest of us just have to
Again, you know, I mean, a lot of dialogues that you have to go through. And here, I'm gonna switch over to the performance mode again, just to show, just keep an eye on the character that is on screen, and then the background trees. All right, that's to keep in mind. So now I've switched over to performance. The sharpness level of the character has definitely decreased. So you see this regression when it comes to the quality level in terms of sharpness, and even with the tree. Now, if I move back over to the quality mode again and get back to the screen, wow, again, the character is so sharp, the tree sharp. Of course, you do not have the quick 60 FPS, and you can immediately feel that, you know, when you pan the camera around. So I'm just going to skip over, you know, to another area just to show you the graphic fidelity of this particular game, and you know how it's improved upon the previous game. Now, this particular level, which is the Citadel, has seen probably, you know, one of the biggest change. The trees that are in the background are so sharp. And when you play it on a 4K television, I tell you, I kid you not, it is sharp. It's incredible. Everything is sharp. Even the characters in the background, like my supporting characters, Ashley. And this level is beautiful, by the way. The water texture, or you could say the way the reflections bounce off of the water, and you know, from the lighting to the level design to the sharpness, that reflection on surfaces, etc. Everything is so impressive. And look at that reflection on the water. It is beautiful. And even the way the quality of water that is, you know, is simply outstanding. So this particular level definitely has seen a big change when it comes to, you know, comparing it with the older game. If you have the older game, you know, I mean, even the older game is actually available on the Game Pass, so you don't even need to pay extra money, because it is available on Game Pass Ultimate, that is, through EA. And you can just download that game, play these games back to back, and you will definitely notice a massive difference between the two games. That was made for the 360, and this was originally also made for the 360. But, you know, this remastered version is outstanding when it comes to the way it looks. It is a beautiful looking game. And there's a lot of variety as well. Now, one of the things that I didn't really like, I don't know if it's because of the age of the game, but I've played a lot of Assassin's Creed games. And the map, to me, you know, coming from playing so many of those Assassin's Creed games, it didn't give me a lot of clarity. In fact, you know, for instance, you know, when it comes to the plot, there's an exclamation mark there. It was tough to, you know, I mean, go through the map to find out. It took me some time. So there is definitely a learning curve involved with, you know, understanding the map, because you have to actually go into your journal as well and kind of correlate things between the map and the journal and find out what you need to do next. But hey, you know, once you have learned it, it's going to be easy peasy. But I think, you know, there's a bit of a learning curve, especially if you are coming over from, you know, some of these modern titles like Assassin's Creed Origins or Odyssey or Valhalla. So there you'll be able to make a difference. Now, I also wanted to quickly switch over to another aspect of the game and show you, you know, this vehicular movement, one that I was not impressed with. First of all, I think, although, you know, the vehicle itself looks sharp, and, you know, there's a lot of texture improvement, like with the tires or, you know, with the overall vehicle, but the way it moves is still not great. You know, I mean, it feels artificial. It doesn't feel really great, you know, when you try to control it through the joystick, the controller. I don't know if it's just me or if it's actually the case. Do let me know in the comment section as well whether you feel the same about the vehicular movement. I did not appreciate it. I did not enjoy it, you can say. And this was one bit where I was like, oh, please, not the vehicle. Let it not be the vehicle in this stage or this level. But as you can see, you know, we've gone over a few of these levels. And as you can see, there's a lot of variety when it comes to the levels. The level design is absolutely fabulous. There are different planets, different worlds that you can actually explore, and I really appreciate that. And each of these different worlds that you land upon, you have variations in the way it looks. Like for instance, this particular place, there's a lot of rocky, you could say, stones in the background, and it is pretty. I mean, and you appreciate the variations in the level design. It's not boring at all when it comes to the game design. This game was beautiful and is beautiful still after all these years. Of course, the only things that have changed would be the textures and the frame rates. For instance, I mean, on a console like Xbox Series S, you can actually enjoy 60 FPS. So yeah, you can see, since we are in the casual difficulty level, the enemy AI is dumb and you can easily breeze past all these enemies. In fact, never in my campaign have I actually faced, you could say, a place where I died while playing the game. It is easy peasy. And as you can see, I mean, lot of, you could say, details in the level, and there is this cover mechanism as well. And also wanted to quickly show you, that there are a lot of variations when it comes to the weapons as well. You have a rifle, like a machine gun. You have like pistols. You have even a sniper rifle. So quite a lot of variations. So this is the rifle that I was talking about. It's more like a machine gun. And yeah, I mean, a lot of weapon options. There are grenades as well that you can use. But again, in terms of the crosshair and in terms of shooting at the enemy, it wasn't exactly a satisfactory feeling when it comes to the gameplay. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Now, I haven't played the original Mass Effect 1 that much. I remember playing it a little, but I did not, play it a lot, you could say. Because back then, 14 years back, I was not really into these RPG games. I enjoyed fighting games, etc. or, beat 'em ups. So, with the years, my preference actually changed. And here you can see, the sniper gun. So this is the sniper gun that I was talking about. So quite a lot of options when it comes to the gun. And any gun that you choose, I have actually not been satisfied with that. Again, it's maybe just me. Maybe I'm expecting too much. But coming from games like Gears, I think, it's a new benchmark that Gears sets. And now going back to an older game, you will definitely feel the age. I am feeling it. I have played the original one, the first part that is. And it was great back then, but again, I was not into RPG games. And now I have enjoyed this, even the conversation bits, etc. Like I was saying at the start of the video, I enjoyed those conversations. I enjoyed, uncovering things about the characters, about the plot, about the main storyline. And but hey, if you're one of those people who just likes to jump into the action as you see all the action on screen, then you're very welcome, to get into the heat of the action and just start shooting. And again, this map, it was a little confusing to begin with, but with time you will get to understand. But again, look at the level, look at those objects in the background. And when the character sprints, the light shining, well, the light, you could say, bouncing off the characters looks very pretty. And there's been a lot of change when it comes to the lighting. So the lighting rig is completely changed. And it brings about a lot more details in the characters, in the backgrounds, the way, shadows work as well. It all changes because of this lighting. Yeah, we have some more enemies, and the enemy design is, I would say, yeah, you have a little bit of variation, with the enemy designs as well. And some of these enemies are extremely difficult. Some of them are extremely easy. All you need to do is just aim and shoot and you're done. There's that grenade as well. A lot of particle effects, as you can see on the screen as well. So yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot, that is going up on the screen. So Lot of action, lot of action. So I have, enjoyed this game. Let me know in the comment section as to what you feel about this game. I'll stop here and I'll let you comment in the comment box. And let me know, what you feel about this game. And if you think that I missed out on anything, then do let me know as well. And I would highly appreciate that. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, now is the time to go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And also hit that bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. So that's a wrap for this one, folks. It's me signing off. And until we meet again in the next video, I'd say take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.